You picked this phone up before you even decided to. Sit with that for a second. You weren't in the room for that decision. Something in you reached for it before you showed up. And somewhere, quietly, that should scare you. Because it means the person checking this phone 50, 80 times a day isn't fully you anymore. It's a version of you that got built, one scroll at a time, one red notification dot at a time, by people who never met you but knew exactly which buttons to press. You didn't choose to become this. Nobody wakes up one day and decides, I want to feel anxious the second my phone isn't in my hand. It happened to you. Slowly. While you were busy living your actual life, something was quietly rewriting the wiring underneath it. Stay with me. What I'm about to show you isn't a lecture. It's the truth about what's already happened inside your head, and it's the first step to getting the rest of yourself back. 1. The dopamine loop isn't a metaphor. Dopamine isn't the pleasure chemical people casually call it. It's the anticipation chemical. It fires before the reward, not during it, which is why the checking matters more than what you find. Every time you unlock your phone not knowing what's waiting, a like, a message, a notification, you're triggering a variable reward schedule. This is the exact same mechanism slot machines use. Casinos didn't invent this to entertain you. They engineered it because unpredictable rewards produce a stronger, more repetitive compulsion than predictable ones ever could. Your phone runs this loop dozens of times a day, every day, for years. Each time it fires, it reinforces the neural pathway that says, check the phone, feel a flicker of anticipation, repeat. Over time, this isn't a choice anymore. It's automated. That's not a personality flaw. That's basic reinforcement learning, running on the most sophisticated learning machine ever built, your brain. 2. Your attention span has a different shape now. Here's what most people get wrong. It's not that your attention span has gotten shorter like a soundbite. What's happened is more specific. Your brain has adapted to expect rapid switching, and that adaptation now works against you when you try to focus on one thing. Neuroscientists call this task switching cost. Every time you swap between apps, tabs, or thoughts, your prefrontal cortex has to disengage from one context and reload another. This isn't instant. It has a measurable cost in time and mental energy, and heavy multitaskers get worse at filtering irrelevant information over time, not better. The brain that's used to switching every few seconds becomes structurally less equipped to sustain single-task focus, because the neural pathways for sustained attention simply get less exercise, while the pathways for switching get reinforced constantly. You're not lazier than people were 20 years ago. You're running a brain trained on a completely different input pattern. 3. The grey matter changes. This is the part people don't want to hear, so it's usually skipped. Heavy smartphone and internet use has been associated in multiple neuroimaging studies with measurable differences in brain structure, including reduced grey matter density in regions tied to impulse control, emotional regulation, and sustained attention. This isn't proof phones cause brain damage in some dramatic, irreversible sense. The brain is plastic, and plasticity cuts both ways. But it does mean the structure of your brain is not fixed. It is being actively shaped right now by the input you feed it most. And for most people, the highest frequency input of their entire day is a 6-inch screen. Your brain doesn't distinguish between important input and junk input by default. It responds to frequency and reinforcement. Whatever you do most, your brain optimizes for. If the thing you do most is short-form scrolling, your brain is optimizing itself to be very good at short-form scrolling, and comparatively worse at everything that requires the opposite skill set: patience, depth, delayed gratification. 4. Why deep work feels physically uncomfortable now. If sitting down to read a book, write, or focus on one task for 40 minutes straight now feels almost physically agitating, that's not a character flaw. That discomfort is a withdrawal symptom. Your brain has been trained on a reward interval of seconds. A book, an essay, a long task. These operate on a reward interval of tens of minutes or hours. When you sit down to do slow work, your brain, trained on rapid reinforcement, treats the absence of stimulation as a problem to be solved. That restless urge to check your phone mid-task isn't weakness. It's a mismatch between the reward timeline your brain has been calibrated to and the reward timeline the task actually requires. This is measurable, not just anecdotal. People who reduce phone use report, and studies on digital detox periods have shown, improvements in sustained attention and reductions in this specific restlessness, typically within 1 to 2 weeks of reduced use. Which means the reshaping isn't just possible, it's reversible on a timescale of days if the input changes. 5. The part nobody advertises. It's designed this way. None of this is an accident of technology. It's the outcome of deliberate design decisions made by people who understand this neuroscience better than the people using the products do. Infinite scroll removes the natural stopping cue your brain used to rely on, the end of the page. Autoplay removes the decision point where you'd normally ask yourself, one more? Red notification badges specifically exploit your visual system's evolved sensitivity to that color as a threat/urgency signal. None of these are neutral engineering choices. Each one is a deliberate lever pulled against a known vulnerability in human attention. Several former designers of major social platforms have publicly stated their own products were built using these mechanisms specifically to maximize time on app, independent of whether that time served the user's actual goals. You are not failing to use your phone with willpower. You are up against a system engineered by teams whose success metric is your continued attention, not your focus, not your goals, not your peace of mind. 6. What actually changes it back? The brain that adapted to constant stimulation can adapt back, but not through willpower alone, because willpower is precisely the resource this loop is designed to erode. What actually works, based on the same neuroscience, remove the variable reward, not just the time. Turning off non-essential notifications matters more than using your phone less in the abstract, because it's the unpredictability that hooks the dopamine system, not the total volume of use. Rebuild tolerance for boredom deliberately. Sitting with unstimulated time, no phone, no immediate replacement activity, is what retrains your brain's threshold for reward intervals. This is uncomfortable by design. That discomfort is the mechanism working, not a sign it's failing. Protect one block of single task time daily. Not to be productive, to give the neural pathways for sustained attention a repetition they aren't getting anywhere else in your day. None of this requires quitting your phone. It requires understanding that every open app, every notification setting, every scroll session is an input shaping the physical structure of the organ you use to think. You wouldn't hand your muscles training program to a stranger whose only goal was to keep you in the gym as long as possible. Right now, that's exactly who's programming your brain. Your phone isn't just a tool you use, it's a signal your brain is being trained on, thousands of times a day. The only question that matters is who's holding the leash on that training, you or the app.